Hey, that better?
There you are.
We're not getting you very much in the audio.
Why don't I hear anything?
This is interesting.
We can't really hear you.
Settings.
Can you turn it way up?
My,
That's a little better.
You're maxed at 12 dB right there, brah. Come on. Oh,
Can you hear me?
Yes,
There.
we can hear you now.
Okay, cool. Great.
Okay, so it's me, and it's my friend Britton.
what's up, dude? How you doing?
Yo, sorry, it cut out. What's your name?
My name is Britt.
Britt.
Yes.
Right on. Cool.
It's nice to meet you, Zach.
I'm at home, and we just got finished dinner, so my lovely girlfriend might be walking around in the background, but I figure it's all good.
No worries. We're
Okay.
just getting. Basically, we just want to capture audio.
Okay, I'm gonna put a microphone, put ear pods on, so you get better audio.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Give me a second with that.
Where are you in LA?
I'm actually in Pasadena now.
Oh, wow.
I moved across town to Pasadena about 2 months ago.
Oh, okay.
So previously I was in kind of Silver Lake area, and then I lived before that in Malibu for a year. Randomly, weirdly.
That's extremely odd. I used to live in North Hollywood.
Yeah, I lived in East Hollywood for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
And then my studio is in Burbank.
Where are you at in Burbank?
The studio is right by the Costco at like Victory and Burbank Boulevard.
So I used to live off of Danny and Magnolia, and I used to work at a studio called Larrabee off of Lancashire.
Larrabee?
Yeah.
Nice.
I shut down
That's awesome.
the original location down in West Hollywood.
You shut it down?
Yeah, they had to pull that K out of there, bro. A long time ago. This is
Yeah.
years ago, bro. This is a long, long time ago.
Yeah, that's cool. That
Yeah.
predates me. I don't know of that place or that studio, but yeah, there's lots of those kind of things around. I'm trying to find. One second, I'm gonna find headphones that have a microphone. Here.
Okay.
You're all good, man.
Can't do this. Okay, we gotta put that down. Okay. All right.
Now I have this question where I'm like, dude, I wonder if Pacific's still out there.
What?
Pacific. These are all very much music
I think
studios.
Zach went out there like the early 20 teens. I think
That makes sense.
maybe late.
Because I moved out here in 2005, so this was all
Yeah.
the old guard.
Shoot.
Like internet pages were not good. That's when I moved out there.
MySpace was the biggest thing. Friendster.
Yeah, MySpace was burgeoning as a subculture, but it wasn't like at its peak like when I moved out here in 2005.
Babe, do you
That makes sense, right? Like it wasn't peak MySpace, it was development MySpace.
Yeah. Oh, they have a little dog.
Oh, woofers. I love dogs. I really do though. I freak out every time I see them now. That's what age has done to me.
The whole recording session I did today, the singer was this lady who had I've known her for a long time. She has this wonderful little, I think it's a Chihuahua named Carmen,
This sounds amazing.
and she's very nice.
Was the Chihuahua nice too?
Yeah, the Chihuahua is very nice too.
It's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
This is, in fact, the whole interview is we're just laying set up and then just me talking randomly over about things that no one needs to know
No,
about my life.
it's perfect. It's perfect. It's exactly perfect.
You want to hear something really embarrassing that I got convinced to do this summer?
What's that?
Go see Sublime with Rome at Red Rocks.
Sublime
with Rome.
Who's Rome?
The lead singer that took the place of the dead guy, Brad Knoll.
Really?
Yeah. This is a long convoluted story that the helm was initiated by none other than Coral Weatherald. My wife, she was like, "Let's do this. Let's live Moss." And I was like, "Can't we just go see Vampire Weekend instead?" And she's like, "No, we're gonna see this."
Okay.
I can't. I don't know, man. I don't know how to synthesize this. And guess what day it fell on? My birthday of all days.
Wow.
June 10th. I have to watch a nostalgia act with a lead singer that's not original.
That's incredible.
This shows how much growth I've shown over the past 20 years of my life.
Well, I mean, Sublime is a significant band, I would have to say, for as little output as they had.
They had They had 3 or 4 albums.
Yeah, but
I just think they're like
still.
Yeah, they are significant, but I also have to say that, man, those lyrics, some of them can be a little bit problematic.
Yeah, they can be.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and just like I don't practice Santeria,
Yeah.
so for a white guy to talk about Santeria is a little bit
weird.
Yeah, because it's a real religion. It is. It's like,
what was it? Cultural piracy.
It was a bit of a cultural hijack, I think.
Yeah.
I like this conversation better, you guys. The conversation we're gonna have later. Hey, so switching gears again. I'm actually gonna go back to my phone because that's the best microphone that I've got.
Right on. No problem,
I'll
man.
call you back from the phone.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
I'm not deleting that.
No. All right.
Okay.
That does sound better.
It does.
There we go.
All right.
Sounds objectively better.
Yeah. It's thank you, Apple.
Right?
Have all the stuff.
It's a little bit like closed up, but for speech,
Here.
it's perfect.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that?
There we
That's
go.
great.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't, yeah, we can get into it, but I don't really do a lot of recording. No, I do a lot of recording, but I don't do a lot of live recording to a track in a computer,
Yeah.
We can get into it, but yeah.
Okay, so welcome to How to Suck at Recording. Today we have a very special episode. We're talking with Zach Goheen, who is a sound effects editor. Am I correct in that, Zach?
Yeah, that's right.
For Post House Racket Sound, is that what it's called?
Yeah. So there's a couple. Yeah.
You're like a contract.
Kind of,
you work for a bunch of different folks, right?
I work for a bunch of different people. I have my own company, which I go under the name High Lonesome Sound.
Okay.
And I work with another. Our studios are commingled with a company that's called Racket Sound. So that's that, and then I work for a lot of times, and lately, right now, work for a guy who is a kind of veteran guy in Hollywood who has a company called 24/7 Sound. So lots of different companies involved there, but yeah.
Awesome.
So I believe your main focus is sound effects editor.
Yeah, sound effects editor. Yeah. But I came from the music recording world. I guess that's kind of where I started out in general. And I was, there in Chicago, based out of Chicago, and worked recording bands and albums and working in studios doing that. And then I think in about 2008, 2007 or 2008, I switched over to doing sound for post-production, sound for picture.
Did CRC come and get your soul? Is that what happened?
No, man. They didn't. I actually went to go work for John Binder over at Another Country, which is attached to Cutters, which is a big editorial house there.
All right.
Yeah, just similar worlds. They're in the same like 3-block radius downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And once I switched over to doing sound for picture, I never looked back. It was great. I was like, I remember I've told people this, but I was like, Dan and I went to school together, and I was like, why didn't they tell us we could do this? This is I wish this was like laid out as a possibility earlier in my life. I would kind of regretted not switching over sooner. So anyway, that's where I come from.
Oh, well, so let's expound upon that for a second. What was like that? I'm a big music guy, so like I fell in love with like production and like going full frontal into that, right? It's always interesting for me to hear, because I used to live in LA and I did like the music side. I love hearing people who like, I fell in love with the sound, effects editing, the ability to like take this idea and expound upon it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think my only exposure to it while in college was like our the head of our department was awesome. Tom Miller, he was great and is great. He's still around. Still works teaching, and he's wonderful and he's great and everything, but it just didn't get covered very, very in depth. Like we did one project where we kind of like, did a bunch of sound for a film, and that was cool. And it was, I had a lot of fun doing that. But I just never really like thought of it as a career path until taking it on later on in life. And I don't know, it's different. I grew up as a musician. My parents are music instructors, music teachers, and music's always been a part of my life. So like, it seemed normal that I would go into music. But once I started working with picture, it was like a whole different dimension of sensory experience that you're commingling with, and you're, sometimes you're guiding and sometimes they're guiding, and you're working with filmmakers instead of bands. The industry is very different. Yeah. Like not just, I mean, that's the biggest thing really. Like you're working with people that have just different kind of artistic visions and goals than maybe your typical, like, I don't know. At the time when I was there, I was recording like suburban teenage metal bands, which was awesome. And I had so much fun, but like, you can see why there's a remarkable difference between doing that and doing like a documentary from somebody who's in their 30s about like, autism or something, okay, this is a different type of story. And I like this story and working on this story. So
did you find like a bit more inspiration in moving into that realm?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I give it, I blow it up and make it all rosy now. But, when I first moved into the realm, I was like working at a post-production house, working on commercials. So it was like, McDonald's and Allstate commercials every day.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like how Tom Miller, our mutual teacher, came up as working for McDonald's.
It's very much a Chicago thing, man. You guys are in the city of commercial work, man.
Yeah, Chicago it's bigger ad town than LA actually, but
it's notoriously bigger than that, right? I
mean, yeah, it's huge, and that's the business there. Mm-hmm. Like audio and editorial in Chicago is primarily attached to commercial work, and I love commercial work. I do it still, and it's great. It has its place.
It has its pay.
It 100% has its pay, and I don't think poorly of it, but starting out, it was definitely like, okay, I was like doing cool like folk rock bands last week, and now I'm like editing the $2.99 towel special for a Kmart Father's Day campaign.
Yeah.
So
Like it's when it becomes rote that
yeah,
it
yeah,
really can eat at you, I think.
Yeah, but
yeah.
that checks when that check clears, bro. When that check clears, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like there's a place for that $2.99 towel special, and it's because the check cleared and your rent got paid. That's what happened, man.
It's true, and it definitely helps. Um,
No one's arguing about payment right there.
no one's arguing about payment, and it's like one of those things where if you don't if you just do it for a day job and you want to do something to pursue. I was still pursuing a lot of music recording simultaneously at that time too, and kind of burning the candle on both ends. But now I mostly just I've left the music stuff behind as of, I don't know, I think the last music project I worked on was 4 years ago or so. So
Well, Zach, there's always time to come back.
I know
You're
one
building up
day.
your nest egg, and
Yeah.
someday, man.
I
But
know.
anyway, I would like
Yeah.
to get a little bit away from the industry talk
Yeah.
and get a little bit more towards the gear talk, if you don't mind.
Let's climb Nerd Mountain. Dan.
Yes.
I love it.
This is what we're here for.
Actually, that is exactly what we're here for. I like to hear people's like psychology behind things, but at the end of the day, yeah, you can record a band tomorrow if you really feel like it. It's about how you do it now.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, what I'd like to know is like what kind of like really interesting things do you do to collect, like, so actually let me back up just 2 steps.
Sure. Yeah.
You as a sound effects editor, correct me if I'm wrong, you both collect sounds and then process them so that a sound designer can then place them into the soundtracks of these films.
Yeah. So you're almost exactly there, except for sound designer and sound effects editor are usually in the same person.
Okay.
Not always separate. There's a lot of weird titles, and people kind of give their own titles to their own selves. So it turns around. But yeah, what I do is I collect sounds. I record sounds. Do field recording, I guess, is kind of the more common term for it. Phonography, and take those sounds to populate a library that I maintain of sound effects. Obviously, the stuff that I record is my favorite stuff in the library, but I also use my recordings to trade with other sound recordists, sound effects editors that I meet online. There's a really good community of us around, and we all kind of exchange like, hey, I got this, I went down to the Formula One race and recorded all these race cars, and I'll trade you that for all these desert ambiences that this other guy recorded, or whatever. So there's that community. There's also part of that community is, instead of trading, people buy and sell on online marketplaces of their sound effects that they record. And so a large part of my library is other people's recordings that I've purchased or traded for.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Can I ask a little bit? Can I dig in a little bit there? Like what?
Yeah, for sure.
What is this community, and like how do people kind of like, sort of approach it appropriately to become a part of it?
The communities.
I mean, you don't need to divulge like the exact.
No, there's no secret handshake or anything. I mean, it's mostly Twitter based, to be honest.
Okay.
I would say that's the most healthy form of it. There's a few other platforms that people get on and talk to each other on. There's a couple Slack channels of us that were out there.
Nice.
Yeah, there used to be some other group spaces, but mostly Twitter, and people there's some major players of guys that have been around that do really good recording that kind of are the at least for me, they're kind of the like
You go to them.
the go to them when they come out with a new library. I get excited and I usually buy it because even if I don't need those sounds now, I probably will down the road.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah, there's a few of them. This guy Tim Preble, who's over in New Zealand, he's really great.
That'd be an awesome place to get nature sounds.
Exactly, and that's kind of I think where he started out at. But then he does a lot of like studio-based recording too, of just bringing different props into his studio and basically just molesting them and manipulating them and getting every sound you possibly can out of a water phone or some old rusty cymbals or what have you, and miking them up in a bunch of different ways. And the big labor there, and what he does really well is he organizes the recordings in a very thoughtful way, labels everything very well, puts a lot of metadata in the files and images as well. And then when you purchase them or you trade for them, and you bring them in your library, it's really easy to very quickly search and drill down to exactly what you need in the moment. So he's a big one. Frank Bree is in Idaho. He's got a big piece of property out there, and he, I think, started out by, being the guy that could set off black powder mortar shells in his backyard and record those.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but now, and he does a lot of like firearms, recording out there, and
that's a big deal.
This is what a 22 sounds like versus a 40 cal. Like
people get, people get freaked out about that, like the difference between them.
Oh, it's very exacting, and unfortunately, well, I don't know. I feel I'm okay with guns. They're a little troublesome and they have their problems, but for better for worse, guns and gun recordings are very big in sound effects editing because a lot of the people in the community are working in game sound. Yeah. And there's a lot of there's a lot of guns in video games. So if you're designing sounds for video games, a large part of your job is usually at some point making hundreds of iterations of a shotgun blast. So he's a big one. And there are others. I'm going to not bore you with the whole litany, and more every day. Another guy I really love, Thomas Rex Beverly. I think he's out of Philly, but he travels out to the American Southwest and West and records these beautiful nature recordings that are really well documented and very thoughtful. So those are just a few, but
so I mean, essentially, how much time do you spend on an average week maybe compiling new sounds for your personal library that you record yourself in the field or in the studio or whatever you're doing to construct that new sound?
The new library?
Yeah.
I can't really. It really depends on the week-to-week projects that I'm working on. I think I got really into field recording when I first moved to LA in 2013 because I was underemployed. And when you're,
I hear you.
Yeah.
Was it winter, by the way?
It was winter.
Yeah.
And,
always winter.
And there was a few checks, but they weren't a lot. They weren't numerous. And when I found one of the nice things is when you aren't making money, it's nice to not spend money. So it's actually really cheap to drive up to the mountains or the desert outside of LA and throw your mics up in the air and
wow.
and use that as an excuse of like, I'm working, but I'm actually just like write down the mileage. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And send it to my accountant. At the end of the year.
Absolutely.
No, it was kind of a nice, I'm a pretty outdoorsy person in general, and I like to get out there it was kind of a built-in excuse for me to go up into the mountains or out into the desert for a week and bring my mics along with me. And it helps. Yeah, it helps because those recordings, literally, I'm using recordings from a Death Valley shoot. I went up to Death Valley in 2014 and recorded a bunch of winds up there, and was literally using them yesterday on a project. So
Wow,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
yeah, it's really fun. So I don't know. I get up there when the phone ain't ringing. I do it a lot more. When I'm working a lot, then usually the recordings are quick little, bits of Foley inside the studio, or maybe something nearby inside the city.
do you work with many Foley artists?
Not necessarily. I don't really right now. There will be some Foley recording, me working with some Foley artists in the near future, but historically I have not.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
Sure.
The Lewitt LCT 540.
540S.
540S. You posted about it recently.
Yeah,
on your
it's
Twitter.
dope. It's so good.
Is it working? It's a $600 mic, right?
Yeah. Is it that what it is? I forgot. Is it 600?
I mean, I'm seeing the 540. I'm not seeing the 540S actually. Let me look that up.
I think it's a different. I don't. S stands for Sub-Zero,
Ooh.
which
Yeah, because the 540. Okay. Let me just for
Sub-Zero.
people.
There's a Sub-Zero.
Oh, it looks like it's $700.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So yeah,
Let's
Okay.
talk about this. I don't know about Lewitt LTC.
or LCT.
Yeah.
Yes. So kind of one of those new mic manufacturers on the scene. Seems like every few years there's a new, Eastern European company that starts making mics again. These guys are like, where is it out of? Like the Netherlands or somewhere?
Yeah,
I forget where they're based out
kind
of.
of looking right now.
I forget where they are from. They might even be Austrian. No, not Austrian.
I'm gonna look it up, and you can
Okay.
just keep on talking.
I heard about this mic from Twitter from a guy named Magnus. I'm going to mess up his last name. Magnus Bergeson, who's a field recordist who gets out there and does some really cool.
Name like Magnuson.
They're Austrian, by the way.
Austrian, yes. Yeah, Magnus Bergson is his name.
Bergson.
Yes. He I saw him using it.
Oh, we lost him.
We'll call him back. We'll talk about the Lewitt Audio LTC or LCT 540S.
There you are. Sorry, where did I lose you at?
Something about Magnus Bergson.
Magnus.
Oh, yeah. Magnus Bergson. He's the dude I saw using it first. I looked it up. The microphone's claim to fame is that it is a super quiet microphone. Has a very low self noise rate.
So its noise floor is like stupid low.
It's stupid low noise floor. It's lower than the equipment that you can test it with. Kind of low.
Wow.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I got really excited because a big thing that happens once you start going down the rabbit hole of field recording as opposed to studio recording is you're dealing with extremely quiet sounds out there.
You're recording silence.
You're recording silence most of the time. And when you're not recording silence if you don't have the right equipment, you're not recording silence, you're recording mic pre-hiss, which is not a good replacement. So that is a nice thing. So that's why you end up geeking out about, what kind of recorder has the right mic pre's and what kind of microphone to get you that really, really low noise floor. Because that's a big factor with nature recordings is your noise floor. So that's this mic. This Lewitt mic is now considered the quietest mic out there. I think I just saw somebody shoot it out against the Rode NT1A, which previously was also a very, very quiet mic.
I know. Yeah, Rode is good, but like,
no, like
right.
The whole. This is why I'm fascinated about this conversation, right? Like,
yes,
noise floor for music does not actually mean much.
It means nothing.
Means nothing. So when you talk about the Rode NT1A, music guys scoff because its frequency response is not optimal. On any means.
Yeah.
And
and I completely hear you, and that's why I was like everybody that wanted a really low noise floor was like, oh yeah, man, you got to get the Rode NT1A, and I come from like, your guys' world of gear porn, and I was just like, no, I'm not gonna buy that.
I'm not gonna buy this $200 mic that's gonna solve my problems.
Yeah, so. When the Lewitt came out and had that same thing, I was like, okay, this is cool. To be fair, I haven't run the Lewitt through crazy paces yet. I took it on one trip and was really impressed with it, but I can't speak too much about the frequency characteristics or the profile of it. I mean, it did its job really well for what I was using it for.
Right on.
No, I mean,
yeah,
that's a fair assessment right out the gate, right? Like that it sounds better than the 1A, and that its noise floor is better than the 1A, and damn well it should be for 7 times.
Damn well, yeah. And now the next thing is to get it a stereo pair buddy. I only have one right now, so. But the other thing that's a problem with it is it's a large diaphragm condenser mic, which is not the best or easiest thing to have in your mobile recording kit. So most of the mics that we deal with field recording are SDCs. So the LDC is
small diaphragm condensers.
Right, small diaphragms. So the Sheps and the Sennheiser 8000 series of the world.
Yeah. They're not bad mics either by any stretch.
Not bad mics either. Yeah, those were, since we're getting geeky on mics. When I first started building my kit, the Sheps were the mic that I got. That I was from working in recording studios that had Sheps and using them on guitars and kits and whatnot. I was like,
they're just so neutral, right?
Oh yeah,
they paint a pretty picture.
Okay.
I wouldn't call them neutral. Actually.
All right. You don't think they're neutral?
I mean, I've never used Sheps. I've never had the pleasure of using Sheps.
Well, the ones that I've used that I know, I mean, they make a lot of different mics, but the small diaphragms that I know are the CMC 6 bodies with various interchangeable capsules.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are they're pretty expensive. They're very expensive.
Yeah.
They're a little they're a little not smiley on their frequency chart, but they sparkle. They've got some voodoo going on.
I would agree with that. If you set them up on the right Fender amp, it will make it shimmer. For sure.
Yes.
Catch all that spring brightliness.
Springiness. Yeah. So the Sheps are great, and so those were the first mics that I bought for my kit, and they just sit in a box now because I never use them anymore, and it makes me sad. I know. Someday, Sheps.
Send them over to Chicago to me.
Okay.
We can talk about how they sound on shimmery amps.
Yeah. No, they were replaced by a more neutral and even sounding microphone. I got a pair of the Sennheiser 8040s.
Yeah. 8840s?
8040. And those are my go-to stereo field recording mic. So
they're really small, huh?
They're really small.
And they're also very expensive.
They're also very expensive. I like them much more than the Sheps, to be honest with you.
No, for what reason? Maybe.
Uh, they're the frequency response is more neutral, more even. They don't exaggerate the beauty of things. They don't sparkle up top. They just keep a nice flat response. The low end is a little out of control, actually, for field recording. Like you really have to throw high pass filters on to not get all rumbly on your recording track. But when you need it, it's there. Yeah, they're really wonderful mics, and the one drawback with the Sheps, and I'm only going to say this because it annoys the shit out of me when people online like just repeat things that they've heard other people say as like common knowledge. I've heard other people say this. I haven't had experience with it, but I've heard other people say that Sheps have a hard time with humidity. That if you take them into kind of a rainforesty, humid environment, they tend to crap out on you. So whereas the Sennheisers are much more robust. Yeah.
I mean, I've always find that Sennheiser stuff is pretty
roadworthy.
Like, you can, throw it around.
And that's like another thing. Difference between studio recording versus field recording is like you're dealing with factors like how do they handle humidity? It's kind of a weird thing to spec your mic on, but
yeah, man,
totally. Have you had any interesting what was the weirdest issue you've ever had going on location, or not on location? I guess that would be the wrong term, but like going out to capture. Like it's not like the movie Blowout, right?
Yeah, where I like secretly record a murder or something.
Yeah. I hope not.
I haven't had one of those. I was once recording at night up in the Sierras, and I had the headphones on. It was midnight. It was late at night. It was dark. Very much alone. There was no one around. It was very, very, very quiet. I had the mic gain up pretty high because it was very quiet. And I just kind of noticed something out of the corner of my eye where my recorder was, and I looked over and my meters were like dancing, like super ballistics on the meters. And I wasn't hearing anything. And I was like really freaked out. And the first thing I thought of was that that basically the mics were picking up something that I wasn't able to hear.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is that? And my first thought that it was seismic. Yeah. And then I got really excited. I was like, oh my God, I'm recording like
an earthquake,
super low frequency seismic stuff on this track that, I'll get back to the studio and hear later on. Turns out it was bats.
Whoa.
Yeah. So when you're recording out there, when bats are going around, like bats are way up in like the 30, 40, 50 K area frequency range, and these mics will pick it up.
Wow.
You can't you can't hear it. So you get it back home, and then you pitch it down half speed, and you've got these little chirpy bats up.
Yeah. Quick little aside for the non-audio professional or enthusiast. We can humans can only hear up to 20 kilohertz. And you were saying these bats are up in like 30 to 40?
They must have been about 30 to 40 because I was recording at 96K, and at half speed they were like right up there around 15. So right 30.
So like basically it's like a dog whistle. We
can't
hear, but other animals can hear.
I'm sorry, what was that question?
These were the 8040s?
Yeah. These were the 8040s, which
have a frequency response to about 50K.
Well, I don't actually know if they're spec'd up that high, but they do extend beyond 30, I'm pretty sure.
They definitely spec up at their dropout. Like their dropout peak is well above 40. We were just looking at
it. I cheated, bro.
We're
looking at their
Oh, cool. See, I'm not.
Yeah. I'm just giving you full disclosure. I was like, yeah, I cheated.
That's-
I definitely looked at the mapping.
I'm navigating back to it, and this will be part of the YouTube
And the test
you won't
later.
see. Yeah, dude, they
was-
spec up to
50K.
about 50K where they roll off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
They're
that's
deep
another
rolling.
that good transition into another cool thing that's happening in field recording and Foley right now is people are getting really excited about.
Oh,
Ah,
I'll call him. Hopefully this will be the last time.
that was good. It was like right. It always hurts when I'm like, give me the sentence.
Whoa!
There we
keep
go.
listening. Hey, he's back. Hello. Edit.
So it was something exciting going in the sound design community.
Something exciting kind of happening with sound designers, sound recorders, field recorders right now. That I don't know if this is happening with the music recording world. Excuse me, but we're getting all really stoked about these kind of supersonic mics, the Sanken CS100.
How do you spell Sanken?
SANKEN. CO100, I believe.
Okay.
It is.
Oh yeah.
It specs up to 100K.
Whoa.
Yeah. So there's a couple of these mics. I forget who else is making them, but Sanken's kind of the big one. This microphone you're looking at's the one that most people are stoked on. And the reason we love it is because we constantly are pitch shifting things. So we record stuff all the time, forever at 96K, maybe more, but usually 96K, because 9 times out of 10 we're shifting everything down 2 octaves. Just for added drama or texture or what have you, design purposes,
dream sequences.
Yeah. So the nice thing with this mic is like, I recorded some squeaky cabinet hinges with it and pitched it down 4 octaves, and all of a sudden it's like the inside of like a creaky boat, like a big ship. It's got this kind of magical ability to transform everyday objects into big, interesting other dramatic objects. So
that's really interesting.
My first thought about this is that you're oversampling by like 6,000 hertz. Like this is a very like, because I mean theoretically it has to truncate the data that it can't take, right?
No, well, it depends on your recorder. So if you're recording at 96K,
it has to truncate 4,000. Well, I mean at some point.
No, if you're recording at 96K,
then you're
48K.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Basically, well, yeah. So you're getting what is? Oh man, Dan, we're gonna flunk this class.
The Nyquist
theorem. Thank you.
I'm not flunking. I got straight A's in college.
You got straight A's. Damn it. So Nyquist theorem states what? Like you have to sample double
the amount. So this is reaching upwards into that.
It's reaching up to 48K, and then if you record even higher, up to 192 kilohertz per second.
No, but the math, what the based on the Nyquist theorem, 96K is double that, or 90. Yeah, right. It's like your sampling rate input is like double 96K.
Well, let's say it this way. If you're sampling at 96K, then the highest frequency that you can accurately reproduce is 48,000 hertz.
So that's what I thought. So
yes.
my understanding was originally what I was talking about is that this microphone is representing 100K on its best day, right? Like its frequency rate. So there is sound truncation that would happen at some point in time going in when you're.
I think what this microphone is made to do is to record 96 kilohertz, and it's to capture everything that 96 kilohertz can capture.
I just think it's a fascinating idea.
It is. This microphone can record, it specs up to 100 kilohertz, which means that in order to actually capture the full frequency potential of the mic, you would have to be running a 192 session.
That's what I thought.
At least.
So
well, actually, it actually overruns that, which is probably important for its application.
Yeah, slightly overruns that.
Yeah.
Which means that if you record this mic at 192, then you can pitch. Say you take 192, you cut that in half, you're down to 96K, right?
Yep.
And then you cut that down in half, and then you're at 48K. So you can bring this down 2 octaves, and you still have full 48. You still have information all the way up to 48K.
That's what's amazing to it. I think it's also fascinating that by convention, this microphone exceeds a lot of recording standards at this point.
Yeah. Well, thinking about how things like how the MGM like Lion was created, like the Lion Roar.
I don't know this story.
Apparently it's an amalgamation of like a camel's like bray and like a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it's all pitch shift, you know? And like when you do it on tape, it's one thing. When you do it on digital, it's another. But when you do it like full frequency, like digital, when you do stuff like that, full frequency digital, it's a whole nother thing. Where you're bringing in frequencies that you cannot hear that were recorded, and then they enter into the audible frequency range.
Yeah, and exactly to your example point is like creature sounds is big with this mic because to get the Godzilla roar, you can take a dog bark or a little Shih Tzu dog or something and take that recording and pitch it down to make it go really low and beefy. But the problem with that is all of a sudden you're losing all the high frequency information.
Yeah, it sounds rolled off.
It sounds rolled off because you've pitched it down so much. Whereas this microphone, because you're picking up all that stuff above it, when you pitch it down, it doesn't sound rolled off anymore.
All right.
So that's the point of this stuff. That's why like sound designers and people like me are really having fun with this mic, because you're able to create new sounds that don't sound dark and rolled off.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well,
I like that. I like the application for it.
This is fascinating stuff. I just want to talk about one more thing though.
Sure, yeah.
Data storage.
I love this topic. It's so geeky and it's right up my alley.
So Zach,
you've been by far our favorite guest so far because you're just willing to go there with us. Like most people, I don't know, man. I don't know how nerdy you guys want to get. We're like very.
Well,
nerdy.
we talk to a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
But Zach.
Yes.
Tell us about your approach to data storage.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is it for projects? We're talking about for sound audio projects, right?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Let's just talk about your top.
Let's
5.
do that. However, yeah. Let's talk about your top 8.
Hey.
Wow. It's weird.
It only gets weirder from here, my friend.
Okay. Well, I have to be on top of this stuff because my whole
livelihood
gig
is built on
my
a library.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Like my whole gig and my whole livelihood is based on having a whole big drive of sounds
and finding it fast, right? Like being able to search flawlessly throughout that storage.
Yeah, and modern tech, you can get there pretty fast and pretty easily now. I use Synology a lot personally.
What is that?
A company called Synology, Synology.
Uh-huh.
I use their products for file serving and data storage. I don't hang drives off of computers anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you're uploading. You're just like uploading this stuff a lot now.
What, to like the cloud?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
No, I personally have a drive array, one of these Synology drive arrays.
This is like a RAID array of disks.
Yes. Yeah. It's so basically, instead of a single hard drive, it's an array of multiple drives. And the advantage there is that there's redundancy. So if one drive goes down, it doesn't you don't lose everything. You can replace the one drive and it rebuilds itself.
Nice.
So you have safety built into that, and it's also a little bit faster, and also obviously storage size is larger than one drive. And the reason I like the Synology stuff is it actually has its own little operating system inside of there. It's not just a dumb system. It's not just a drive that like you hook up with USB and it mounts to your computer.
2 gigs of memory.
Yeah, so it has it has its own like iOS basically. It's not iOS.
Yeah, no, like it literally has a CPU. It's got like a dual core like it's I understand what you're talking about. This is basically like, yo, we run the information game. So whatever's coming from to and from your computer or interface, we got you, bro.
Yeah. Yes. It's a pretty cool architecture, and it's a pretty cool company, and they do it really well. And I've had a lot of luck. I think I've owned 3 different Synology appliances, and they've all been really great.
Awesome.
So that's my go-to.
And are you, what editing software are you using mainly at this point?
I'm, for better or for worse, Pro Tools guy.
All right.
Have been for many years.
And this gets along with Avid pretty well.
Yeah. They're the same company now, so they worked it out.
Finally. I remember Pro Tools 8 is when they said Pro Tools is Avid.
I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Or DigiDesign is Avid or something like that.
Does the Synology like?
Oh, the Synology.
Yeah. Avid has been running the game for a minute.
Yeah. Avid now will work with any network drive, and Synology just shows up as a network drive. Here's the thing, though: anytime you're using a RAID array, which is an array of disks, or like a mounted server disk.
Yeah.
Pro Tools will run a session off of that drive, but it's not as snappy as a locally mounted drive or an internal drive.
Yeah.
So I still run sessions locally on my laptop or on the Mac Pro or whatever I'm working on, and then I just use the Synology as a backup.
Yeah. You just drag it over after you're done.
Which is not an uncommon solution to the problem that you're talking about. I was just hoping that like they finally like got around that fucking weird ass issue. But I can, like, if I just need to open up a session quick to like grab something, I'll open it up off of the Synology, no problem. Okay. So it will still demo. It will demo for demo purpose if you need to like look at it.
Yeah, but as soon as you need to like render audio suite craziness or bounce to disk something crazy, it doesn't go as fast as if it was local.
So. No, which has been like always kind of like that. That's been always from the 888 on. That's been the problem.
Yeah.
Right on. Well,
888s.
Oh, dude, you don't get me started, man. That's the old dinosaur technology.
Hey, man, I knocked on many of those to try to get them to work again.
So do you have anything? Just like I think we should probably wrap it up soon.
All right.
Zach, do you have anything to say about the MySpace fuck up?
I don't know about it. You mentioned it when you were lining this up, but I did not. Well, was there just a data breach or something?
No. Just like every single song that was uploaded to MySpace between 2003 and 2015 is just gone.
I heard 2012. It was like
it's
2002.
It's just gone.
Or whatever.
That's why I was curious about
my music's gone. I want
data
to check
stuff.
Wait a second, guys.
Yeah.
were we counting on MySpace to be harbingers of that data still? Like,
No,
I
no.
guess not.
I was trying to get it off MySpace forever. It was just very hard, and then they
okay.
just finally deleted it.
I don't know. It's just like on my mind because I had a little travail where I had to go like digging in old hard drives to find something that.
Oh, we've all been there. I
Yeah.
understand. But I'm saying, like, old hard drives is one thing, but trying to blame MySpace for not holding data that you left that you just
You
left
squandered
on their servers
so
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
frivolously.
I like this take. I like this take you're taking.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Michael Jackson take, where people are like, "Oh my God, Michael Jackson! I had no idea." It's like, really? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
They were the bad guys all along.
Yeah. Why are we surprised here, people? Come on. No, I think that it's not. That sucks if you lost data. I'm sorry for the people that lost songs. I don't
Yeah.
mean to sound like an asshole, but honestly, like, also that music wasn't good. Move on. You can make better music than you did when you were in. You know.
I would amend my. I would totally agree with that statement, but also
Let's
amend
just
it
say-
that like please keep making music and like you'll do better.
Yeah. Do better.
That's
You will
true.
do better.
And just remember, Soldier Boy probably got deleted in that too. So don't feel so bad because he's the original MySpace star.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man.
All right,
I would say rest in peace, but he's still alive.
His career has been lagging for a while though.
Oh, one thing that I should mention that is maybe crossover to you guys as well is I'm into Ableton now.
I love Ableton. I'm a big Ableton guy.
I'm a big Ableton guy, and I'm actually kind of an outlier with people in the sound editing, sound design world.
Have you been using Ableton to do some sound editing and design?
Yeah, I don't know anybody else that does it, but I do it, and
this man is a genius.
It's really, really, really perfect for it.
It's easy, right? It's very intuitive. It's intuitive.
It's very intuitive. I got into it maybe 6 years ago because Pro Tools. I needed a sandbox, you know, and Pro Tools is not a good sandbox.
No. I hate it. That's why I stopped using Pro Tools.
It's a great editorial machine. It's a great recorder, but it's not a good let's play.
I'm a producer by trade, so like my journey through this all was that I went through like the whole mixing thing, and I realized I wanted to be very much a part of like the making process, and I found that Ableton was the best way to communicate that idea.
Yeah, but I use it for making. Editing sounds for films, and it's great. I use it as like a sidecar to Pro Tools. It basically feeds into Pro Tools, and that's where the master session lies. But yeah, it's my little hey, I need to pitch this down and add a bunch of reverb and flange to a thing.
Dude, that's you don't know how happy that makes me, because like I've always felt that it's very much a DAW. I agree with you. Pro Tools is very much the editorial standard, right? Like this is what we go to create a finished product, and we have to like send it out to a client or whoever else. But from a writing standpoint or an inspirational standpoint, I'm very much an Ableton man. It's easy to get into it.
And I like Reaper.
Reaper's cool too, bro. Don't worry.
I'll give it another try someday. I've dipped my toe and I was not. I ran away, but someday I'll come back to it.
Keep running. We don't care.
I know. It's fine.
What were you going to say? I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
No, I think that was it. I just wanted to put that out there that Ableton is a viable product, and that I also think they design good software. I think it looks good. I think it functions really well. I'm pro.
I'm glad to hear that, because I feel like there is always a rift between like steady, like super hardcore DAW people and then like production software that offers DAW solutions.
I've tried to mix things that I've worked on inside of Ableton
instead of going over to Pro Tools with them, and it's been a nightmare.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I understand that. I understand, like, if you're just trying to use Ableton as your DAW exclusively, like, cool. But as a sandbox, as a place to just generate ideas and play, it's really, really. I can't think of anything that does it better. So.
I agree with that, man. I agree.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you for your time, man. It was great hanging out
Of
and
course.
talking with you, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having a weird sound editor on your music recording podcast. It's been awesome.
Yeah, it was.
It's been
It was
super
awesome.
fucking awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. It's great to talk to you again too. Like it's been a long
you too,
time.
man. We always hit each other up on Twitter. It's nice to hear your voice again.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. All right. Take care, guys.
Yeah.
Take it
Have a
easy.
good night.
Bye.
Bye.
That was a good conversation.